Call this meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we had two additions to the agenda. It's an action item under 8C, and then it's going to be 8D. Can I get a motion to approve?
So, second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We are at open forum. This would be a time if anybody would just like to speak for any reasons outside of maybe the agenda or anything. So if anybody would like to come up and talk, this is your time. All right. We're gonna do one nice presentation right now. It's gonna be a service recognition for Nancy. Would you like to come up and talk a little bit about Nancy? I could talk about her all night long, so I'll let you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Haig. I'm the director of the Melrose HRA, and Nancy has been my boss and my right-hand person, and anybody who knows her knows that after you work with her, you're a better person. And she's been instrumental in making a lot of changes at the manor and for coaxing me along. The teacher background that she has, she doesn't say do it this way. She steers you in the way of a solution and lets you get there so that you can feel better about it. And a lot of her students, I've crossed paths with them, and you know what? They say the same thing. So thank you for everything you've done for the manor over these 25 years. You've seen a lot of changes. One thing that didn't change was you. You stayed there and you did what you do, which was so good, and we appreciate it. So that's my 2 cents worth. And thank you again. It was a privilege to work with you, and I think the rest of the board feels the same way. Thank you.
Yeah, and Nancy, I served with you for a few years. I remember when I first got elected, I would say it'd be 2 days after the election cycle, I get a phone call from Nancy, says, you and I are gonna have to meet with some people and we're gonna have to have a talk. And when you get elected, you definitely do get people that call you and they wanna persuade you. They want you to believe in their ideas. But Nancy found out that, people were starting to call me, and she said, I am gonna go with you to a couple meetings. So for me, it was a very good thing to learn that there is politics even in a small town in Melrose. I would have never guessed before I ran that there was as much politics in a small town as there is. And so for that, it helped me out to see a mentor show me, okay, when a person said this to me, she caught me up on the history. And that's what helped me out. You've taught me with your honesty. You're very trusting, and you give me the history, which I hope has helped me do a better job for the community, and I thank you a lot for it. You've received phone calls from me over the years, because if I did have a doubt, you would at least you would tell me, and I've appreciated that. So it is sad to see you leave the HRA board, but many good years. You deserve to go and have fun and watch more sporting events, and we can cheer against each other, like we do at Minnewaska. So we just have a signed certificate. If we could get you to come up, we'd love to take a picture with you if that's possible. Okay, good. All right, and first off, I just want to say congratulations.
Half these guys are my kids' age.
Yeah, we all are, pretty much. So why don't you come in and, come by your old spot again?
Yeah, my old spot. This is where Woody used to kick me under the table.
Do you want us all or just?
Yeah, all of us should be in this one, like you said.
Where's the picture? Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you too.
Again,
Good
congratulations.
job promoting Melrose. I appreciate it. Appreciate your hard work. I know it's not that easy up here.
That's his days. But no, and thank you for all your years on the council too. Like I said, you mentored me and mentored other people too. Mr. Buddy, a few of us that you beat up over the years. So.
I'm not sure we should tell people that.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, and this is also for you, Nancy?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you again. And the nice thing about this, Nancy, is you don't have to stay any longer at the meeting if you don't want to. But no. Yeah, we do have a interesting agenda. So, and the second part of this is going to be our year in review, so people can see what has happened in our community this past year, and Colleen will be taking this over. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of the audience, and those members of the audience that are listening or watching from home. As Joe Finken said, I am Colleen Winter. I am the city administrator. I've been here 7 years. Time goes by, that's for sure. So we are going to start out, we do this every year. In the 7 years that I've been here, we've seen tremendous growth in the city of Melrose. There's a lot of redevelopment that's happened. There's a lot of community and economic development that's happened. It's been a very, very positive thing for the community. Just so people know, so my bosses are the city council, the mayor and the 4 members of the city council. I, as the city administrator, am in charge of the day-to-day activities. I don't do that alone. I have a tremendous group of department heads that do an excellent job helping manage and run the city. The city council appoints 3 different advisory boards. The Melrose Area Development Authority, where I believe our president from there, Bob Wave, is here this evening. They are responsible for economic development within our community. The Parks and Rec Board, they deal with all of our parks and our trail system. And then the Planning Commission, which is really responsible for making sure that orderly development happens in the community. In addition to that, we also have, the council also appoints members to the Melrose Public Utilities Commission. That is an independent board that is responsible for policy and budgeting and capital improvements related to electric, water, and wastewater in our community. And the Melrose Housing and Redevelopment Authority, we just honored Nancy for that. They manage Roseview Manor, which is a 30-unit apartment complex. I'm not going to go through this, but I don't know how well folks can see that, but this is our org chart. So you can see it's fairly, for a small community, and it's largely because in addition to having general city stuff, we also have the electric, the water, the wastewater, and a very active fire and ambulance department, along with obviously our police department. So we do a lot more, I think, than other communities that are our size. So this is our org chart that has all the information in it. As you can see, there's several folks. Like I said, I don't do this alone. The department heads are a lot of them are here tonight. So I'm going to start out with finance. Jackie Niehaus, who is our finance director, her and her team are responsible for making sure that our budgets and our capital plans and all the things that we want to spend money on, we're doing it within our means. One of the things that we're really proud of here in Melrose is we have done a really good job of being very fiscally responsible when it comes to the budget. So it might be a little tough to see, but one of the things that I want to point out is we're in the lower third of communities that are similar in size to us in Stearns County as far as what we have folks pay for taxes. This just gives you a really quick summary. As you can see, this is called the tax capacity. That's, our values keep going up, and it consistently has been going up year after year, which is a very positive sign to see. I won't spend a lot of time on this. Jackie had done this presentation at the Truth and Taxation meeting last month, but basically our general fund revenue sources, 44% come from property taxes, another 34% come from what's called local government aid, and then the rest is made up from other sources. As far as the expenditure side, you're gonna see the big, what's in blue, that's called transfers out. Well, all that means is the money that's on the transfers out is money that's going towards capital improvement projects. And then the other largest part of our budget is our public safety. Human resources has been had an extremely busy year. Doris Reeland is our HR person, and she does a fantastic job, her along with Jackie and Stacy. So we actually hired 7 new full-time employees this year. We had a new person appointed to the board, and we had 10 people either move on to other jobs or retire. In addition to that, we had one of the 7 full-time is a police officer, and then on the fire department side, there were 2 folks that were part of that department, and there were 6 people on the ambulance side. One of the other things we do is we are responsible for licensing, many different types of licensing. Many of you probably knew Patty Hazy, who was our long-term city clerk for many, many years. She was here for 20 years. Well, Patty retired. Connor is now here. Connor is actually into his 2nd week, so he is our new city clerk, and we're happy to have him on board. Nothing like, you know, putting him in meetings right away to get his feet wet, but he's doing a great job. So we manage, you know, all those types of licenses. The other thing that I think is really important to point out here is our donations. We have an incredibly generous community. We received over $64,000 in donations. Those donations went to the fire department, they went to the ambulance department, they went towards our parks. Just very, very generous folks that contribute money to the city. Sheila Hellerman, who is one of our department heads, is the Community and Economic Development Director. So Sheila's probably the person that most people see out and about in the community, and she really works with builders, contractors, and all the development that happens within the community. Obviously, development, you know, doesn't happen in a vacuum. We all come together to work on it, but Sheila's always the first point of contact for those folks, and she's going to be talking about an exciting project later on the agenda. One of the things that I wanted to say is this last year, it was going to be really hard to top 24. In 24, we had $29 million in building permits that came in. This year we had just a little over, well, we had 7.7 million, which is still a really good number. We had some apartments built in 24, and we had a bunch of stuff happening. So that's why that number was as high. But we still saw consistent, consistent use of building permits. There was a lot coming in. And I just want to highlight a couple things relative to that side. Stearns Electric's new headquarters. They opened their new headquarters in August on Craft Drive. This is a comparison that you can see. One of the things, I don't have the little pointer, but what's in pink, what's in green, sorry, is residential, and that's exciting to see because we saw some single-family residential being built this past year, so that's exciting. The other thing that I think is really a great economic development story is we had a building downtown that was in extreme disrepair. The city was in a position where they were going to have to either take it over, tear it down, whatever. We had a local developer come in and he said, I have a vision, I think we can make this work. So he presented at the Melrose Area Economic Development Authority. It was a condemned building, and he purchased it, and now it is woods and irons. So it's a indoor golf facility. So that's a really feel-good story that we had in 25, and it really is great for the community. Again, I talked about new housing, so we did add housing. The Streets and Parks Department, Andrew Rusling is our Streets and Parks Department supervisor. Him and his crew do a great job in not only keeping the streets plowed great in the wintertime, but also just taking care of all the parks and the trails and mowing lawns, and there's just a lot that they do as well. They're in a public works building with our line department, and both of those departments work quite a bit together. Some of the big improvements that we saw in 25 were scoreboards. Again, that was a generous contribution. Those were donated to us. New bases, new mounds, pickleball, fishing stations, which is a Minnesota DNR grant that we were able to get those. And then we put epoxy floor in the new bathrooms and the kitchen, which makes a really big difference, keeps it a lot cleaner. Meadowlark Park, there was new siding, or stained the bathroom siding, and then there was new signage. Other projects were 5th Avenue from Main Street to Railroad, 8th Street, City Center parking lot was redone, and then there was a new LED crosswalk put in. I will say in 25, our street projects were not as much as they had been in the past. I think the community kind of had a sort of construction fatigue because we have been doing so many big projects. You know, we did Molly's Hill, then we did the bridge, and then we did Main Street in 24. So last year was a little bit less. This year we are anticipating also doing some more street projects, but they aren't going to be to the point where they're going to really interrupt traffic patterns. So there's always new equipment as well that we have to look at for purchasing to make jobs easier and better, more efficient, and so there were some purchases done in that department as well. I mentioned the line department, that's our electric department. So right now we have Justin Lundblad, who is our line lead. He's working in that department with 3 linemen. So in that department, they had a total of 51 total outages in 25. Of those 51, 38 were scheduled, while 13 were unscheduled, meaning that 13 were true outages. The others were scheduled ones. So really, when you think about it, because we have a lot of rural line as well, that's actually a pretty small number. Lots of change outs, lots of new street lights, a new feeder at Gen 5, and things that the normal people the regular resident wouldn't really care about, but it's really important to know that one of the areas that we worked on was a backfeed to Proliant in a residential area, just making our electric more reliable. So just by the numbers a little bit, there were 12,200 feet of interduct and conduit. There was 74,400 feet of cable installed, 4,800 feet of 600 volt secondary cable, new switches, transformers, and our power plant. I don't know if folks know, but we actually have a generation plant. And so that generation plant ran 4 times for grid reliability, and then it ran 8 times just to exercise the engines. So, also there were 9 new residential electric connections in 25. Jeremy Schranz is in charge of our water wastewater department. So you look at the water towers, the wells, the wastewater treatment plant, and he has a crew of 3 that work with him. One of the things that I think is interesting is biosolids were hauled in 25. 1.7 million gallons of biosolids were taken out. So not to get into a ton of technicality, but our plant is it's a mechanical plant, but there is some land applications that happen as well. They jetted about 3/4 of the city's sanitary sewer mains. And again, there was some new equipment that was purchased in that department. Police Chief Craig Mouse runs the police department, and they had a 26 Durango squad car that they had received. It came, yeah. And then an upgraded camera system. We talked about hiring a full-time police officer. the 26 budget, we will be also advertising for another police officer in 26. And then, interestingly, the calls were up to 325 more calls compared to 2024. We have a new parking lot we had talked about at City Center. In addition to obviously our police department, the other emergency services that we have are our fire and our ambulance. Our fire is volunteer, but obviously they get paid when they go on calls, but it's a volunteer organization. Very dedicated group of individuals that are part of that, and they went out on 145 calls in 25. Now that was 16 more calls than they had in 24, and both their rescue and their medicals were up significantly. Our Melrose area ambulance also we're very fortunate to have them in our community. They provide basic life support and they provide part-time advanced life support. So they had a total number of runs of 1,386. That is 225 more runs than they had in 24. They covered 57,798 miles, which is 7,000 miles more than 24. They went down to the Twin Cities 35 times. They went to other sites 26 times. The one area that has decreased a little bit is they didn't have as many mental health runs as they did in 24, which actually is, that's a good thing, because I'm guessing there's other services out there that can help those folks. So lots of different calls. Then we get to the administration side. We are missing, Connor isn't in the picture because he just started, but this is our administration team. Administration consists of myself, our community development director, our finance director, our utility billing clerk, our accounting clerk, and our HR and our receptionist. One of the things that we've been grappling with as a city, which all businesses are going to have to grapple with, is the state administered mandatory paid leave program. So we like everyone else, it's brand new, and we're trying to get through that and making sure that we're doing it correctly. One thing I want to talk about, which again, I think it really shows how well we fiscally manage things, is our taxes for 26 increased by 0.94% to bring our actual levy to 45.53%. Our electric rates increased by 4%. Our wastewater rates increased by 5%. Our water rates did not increase at all. Many of the communities around us, they were seeing double digits for much of their water and wastewater rates. So that's an area that we feel we've done a really good job with. Looking ahead, both in the Parks and Streets Department, they're going to be getting some new equipment. This is our building. People use this a lot. It's a very well-used building. In addition to obviously having all the admin team and the police department here for the city, we have a library and a senior center. So it's a very well-used building, and we need to make sure that we're maintaining it. So the library's going to be getting some new carpet this year. We're putting in another pickleball court. There's some landscaping outside that will get done outside the city center here, and there's a lot of seal coat projects that are finishing up. And our city engineer, our consulting engineer, Dave Blumel with SCH is here as well, and he's going to be talking about the street projects as we move forward. Also on the agenda tonight is a downtown redevelopment that again we'll be talking about, and I just want to emphasize that we continue to see growth in our community in many different ways, so it's really exciting to see that. Again, in closing, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to the council and the PUC for their vision and their leadership. To MATA, thank you for your business forward innovation that continues to drive our economic gains. My thanks also goes to the Planning Commission for their orderly development of our city, and to the Park Board for their infectious enthusiasm for our outdoor spaces. I also want to acknowledge the HRA Board and Director Barry Haig for their dedicated service to the residents of Roseview Manor. Finally, to the 81 employees and volunteers of the city, Public service isn't always easy, but you are the unsung heroes. You are the ones who put in the work every day to ensure that, as our billboard says, folks can truly find their home, their jobs, and their people here. Thank you. Oh, I have to turn this back.
So some people don't realize how busy, our community really is. We are a very busy community. There's a lot of stuff that the public might not see. There's a lot of stuff that's going here and there, and most of you see, your fire department's going out, your ambulance departments, that's what you see in the plows and, trucks, but, we don't know what's all going on. So it's good for, us to show you this, that maybe give you a better understanding on what we all do. So, thank you, Colleen, and staff for doing all the hard work on this, to show the citizens. Thank you for all the hard work.
Nice presentation.
All right, we're actually to the consent agenda. There's a couple donations. Donation number 2026-3, American Legion Post 101, $2,000 to be used for the TriCap bus. Donation resolution number 2026-4, American Legion Post 101, $1,000 for ongoing maintenance improvements to the city park systems. Resolution number 2026-5, American Legion Post 101, $1,000 to the Melrose Area Chamber of Commerce holiday kickoff. There is a donation 2026-6 from Mark Finken for $1,000 to the Melrose Fire Department new ladder truck. Resolution number 2026-7, American Legion Post 101 for $10,000 to the Melrose Fire Department new ladder truck. Donation resolution number 2026-8, Nancy Mose for $300 for the Melrose Fire Department. Resolution number 2026-9, Melrose Fire Department Relief Association, $5,000 to the ladder truck. And then also we have a step increase, hiring another EMT, and then there's gambling resolution. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. It is 6:28 PM. We are entering a public hearing, acquisition of JOTS parcels. So, we have the signed affidavit right here that was printed in the Star Post, which we have to do. So, I'll let you take it on there.
You go one more, Colleen.
Huh?
So since the fall of 2023, we have been talking with Genio about the downtown facility. This is 7.5 acres in the center of our city. Genio is the #1 employer in Melrose, and they have made a $137 million investment in Melrose with the construction project that they began in 2017 and opened in 2019. Their contributions to Melrose cannot be overstated, and as you will see from this plan, their contributions to the vitality of Melrose continue now. Throughout this time, since fall of 2023, members of the City Council, the Melrose Area Development Authority, and city staff have been inside the facility. We have worked closely with Genio, and we thank them for their access and their availability for us to look at the site and have some conversations. Most of us here tonight have been inside, some of us multiple times, and I'll be back again there next week. We have brought in contractors into the facility to look at the cost of demolition and different options. Genio has consented to and has granted and has assisted us with grant applications through deed as we considered the options. So we had that going on. Then while that was going on, I received a phone call in late 2024 from Leadstone. Leadstone was looking for space. Their search for warehouse space included the surrounding communities and beyond, including Menominee, Wisconsin. Leadstone is a top 5 employer in our community with over 70 people working and living in our community. The Tomsky family started their warehouse supply business 30 years ago in Melrose, and it includes agricultural supplies, equipment, and milking systems. The criteria that Leadstone needed when they reached out to me was semi-loading docks. And in brainstorming the location, which had potential in Melrose, was Genio. And that started us down a road of conversations, questions, and possibilities. And recently, Leadstone also purchased Center Dairy and Sauk Center, expanding their presence even further in this area and increasing their immediate need for space. That conversation is exactly what we needed to move on, and it added a spark to this whole conversation. The city is not in the business of acquiring land to hold it. We want to have a plan, and we want to have a plan which is good for the community. Then moving forward, in November 2024, we were notified by Genio of their desire to donate the parcels to the city. As they are, the buildings, the remainder of what you see and what remains inside on both sides of Fifth Avenue. So that would include the former processing plant, the truck sheds, and the parking lot on the east side of Fifth. The plan as it stands now is to acquire 6 parcels from Genio as a donation, allowing the city and MATA to work on redevelopment. So there's where we were, putting together the pieces sparked by separate conversations that we had with 2 of the largest employers in the city, Genio and Leadstone. Now to a couple specifics. This is the plan as we have it right now. The south piece right here is approximately 15,000 square feet. That is what Leadstone is interested in, as well as the truck sheds on this side, because their interest is in these semi-loading docks for their purposes. Leadstone will be entering into a 5-year lease with the city for this portion, as well as the truck sheds. The city is going to get this part ready for them, finalizing the changeover from cold storage and chill area into an empty warehouse space, and Leadstone will be installing the pallet racking that they need for their warehouse business. We want to be clear with the public that one of our main goals in working on this project was that no truck traffic will be crossing Fifth anymore. That was something we were committed to, and in fact, this area is going to be demolished. That is the second piece of this puzzle. The city is working on a redevelopment grant application and a plan to demolish 48,000 square feet, consisting of everything north of the precast area. When we talk about the precast area, we're really talking about this piece closest to where the old church used to be. And we will demolish all the way up until Melrose Meat Shop. So the grant application that we are working on is due on February 1st. We don't know what our chances are, but we are going to try. DEED has already provided us with an investigation grant for this project, and we are hoping to continue working with them on the next phase of funding. And demo is going to be expensive, we know that. Once the demolition is complete of this area, in the city's 2027 capital improvement budget, the city plans to extend Turkey Lane here back across, putting this road back in to come out near the laundromat and hook on to First Street Southeast. The various councils and boards have recognized that this piece is a real opportunity to open this area back up. In the meantime, the city has been waiting on a variety of street maintenance projects, including Fifth and some work here on Turkey Lane. We keep putting these projects off because we've been waiting to see what was going to happen with Genio. And now we have a plan, so now we can start working on those infrastructure projects again. At this time tonight, we do not have a plan for the parking lot. The 2 structures, the old check-in building and the larger white building, will be removed. Yesterday, I received 2 different inquiries from local developers interested in the parking lot. Those ideas and plans will be brought to MATA and the council for consideration in the next month or so. There will be additional space available once the demo is complete and the road goes through, so there is opportunity for more possibilities. Throughout this process, we have engaged the neighbors to the space, including St. Mary's Church, Magnify, the feed mill, the meat market, the laundromat. These owners and leadership teams have been made aware of the city's interest in the property and included in discussions with staff. We really need to thank Jenny-O for this opportunity. I want to personally thank the leadership team in Wilmer and their maintenance team in Melrose for being very accommodating to our requests for data and for access. And I also want to thank the Leadstone team. In a world where there are a lot of cities throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin who would love this kind of infusion of economic development and really good jobs, Leadstone reached out and asked Melrose, what do you have? What could we do? They have a very talented team here, and they want to continue to grow here, but they are landlocked and they are out of space where they are. We are thankful to have found them this opportunity to grow. The grant application we were approved for in December from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development is for environmental testing, so you might see some environmental testing being done. We do not anticipate any major concerns, but it is a step in the process, and it's really important that the city does its due diligence there. So in conclusion, our goal in these discussions really has been to start with local. Local developers, local businesses, local contractors have been brought in to look at the demolition and are being sought out for the work on this project. We believe this is a real opportunity to bring life back into this area, to bring jobs back into downtown, and to open up this area with that street. And who better for the city to partner with than people and businesses who are already here and know the value of our workforce and our community. So if the council or MADA members have something to add, I will ask them to do so now, and we will open it up to questions from the public.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, so various boards, are you okay with everything? Okay. Is there anybody in the general public that would like to ask any questions or anything? All you'd have to do is just stand up, state your name, and ask a question. This is your time to give us your thoughts and your opinions. Okay. It is, if there is nothing, it is 6:38. We are going to close the public hearing, and we will be taking action on it here in a couple minutes. Okay. So we are on the reports. Police Department report.
Good evening. Our December 25 numbers for traffic, we had 20 citations, 87 verbal warnings, 27 written warnings. We had 290 calls, requests for service. Last year was 204, excuse me. In 2024, we ended on 4410 for an ICR number, which is a bit fictitious because we switched to a different system. So it's an inflated, arbitrary number. We ended on 3602 this year, but overall we had 85 call increase in December from one year to the next. So can't give you an increase overall from year to year without doing a whole bunch of manual stuff that we didn't take time to do. We had 10 agency assists, which has been very consistent. We did issue 13 administrative citations related to parking. So in November, that short stretch we had there was 7. We issued an additional 13. We haven't issued very many since then. So the 24-hour parking is caught on very well, thankfully. Some areas to update, as was mentioned before, the 2026 Durango came in the day after our last council meeting, and there is still no guaranteed word on the truck from 24. So currently the Durango's at graphics. It'll go to lights. I would say about mid-February it should be on the road, and the officer should be rolling around in it. We are closing applications, or that first process, for the replacement officer Root, who went to the Minnesota State Patrol. I believe there's 2 applications, if I talked to Doris right yesterday about them. So we're hoping for a few more so we can have a proper interview process, and we will work from there. I think that's the gist of it. Otherwise, any questions?
No, Chief, thank you for everything the police department does for our community. Community Development Director, Sheila?
So the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency was on site at 517 Main Street East last week on Thursday and Friday for a Phase 1 environmental study. That is the Bowling Cleaners property. We are connecting the owners to resources to help them determine the condition of the property. In this case, we are simply acting as a conduit. We have no plans to acquire or develop that property. We're just helping them out to figure out what they have there. Work continues on the daycare shortage in the city and possible solutions. Conversations continue to take place on a location and possible start of a center. I think we have a spark there, and so here again, we're going to start working on something, and hopefully we can tend to the spark and make it into something. The Planning and Zoning Commission has scheduled 2 public hearings for the end of the month at its meeting. The first is a conditional use permit on a mural at Midwest Automatic. As you recall, the City Council and Planning and Zoning now has a process for murals. You have to apply and get it approved before anything is put on, and the Arts Council has the design for the Midwest Automatic building. They will also be looking at a preliminary plat between Kira and Centricare. For those of you who know the assisted living, you know that's a labyrinth of hallways and things, so to try to separate what's Kira and what's Centricare is our challenge in terms of real estate now. So, and that's what I have tonight.
All right, thank you. City engineer report, Mr. Dave.
All right, good evening. As Colleen mentioned in her 2025 look back, 2026 is upon us, and we're starting on our street project. We're a little bit about it in your memo, but one thing to add is I think we're gonna do some soil borings out there on 4th, to see if we can find black dirt in advance this time, so it's not a surprise. With what we found on 5th, we thought it'd be wise to do so. So look for somebody to do borings in the next few weeks out there. But otherwise, things move as they go, and we'll be looking in February to ask for advertisement to bid.
All right,
Sounds good.
Quick and easy.
wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we are on to action items, Geneo real estate donation agreement.
So Genio Foods is interested in donating to the city of Melrose 6 parcels. The city has started plans for redevelopment. At a public hearing earlier this evening, city staff, the city council, and Melrose Area Development Authority presented its plan for redevelopment, including demolition, building rehab, and new infrastructure. The action item we're requesting tonight is to direct city staff and the city attorney to review and enter into a real estate donation agreement with Genio Foods for 6 parcels once the terms have been finalized by the legal teams.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. And then resolution approving redevelopment grant application, committing local matching funds, and authorize contract signature number 2026-11.
So as mentioned during the public hearing, we are working on a redevelopment grant application with the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, which is due February 1st. The grant would provide funding for demolition of a portion of the Genio property, allowing room for business opportunities and the build-out of Turkey Lane. To apply for these funds, the City Council needs to pass a resolution supporting the application. So tonight's action item I'm requesting is council to provide consideration to Resolution 26-11, resolution approving redevelopment grant application, committing local match funds, and authorizing contract signatures.
Can I get a motion to move the resolution through? There's a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Then for the add-on, C was resolution authorizing the city to file an application and administer management of a grant with the State of Minnesota Office of Emergency Medical Services, number 2026-12. Okay.
So what this is it's a grant in the amount of $95,114.12 that will be awarded to Melrose Area Ambulance. And in order for us to receive the funds for this, we need to have we had to do a lot of preliminary work, but one of the things that we need is we must get a resolution of support from the city council for accepting this grant.
All right, can I get it? Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Emergency warning siren replacement.
Yes, I apologize for the late addition to the meeting, or excuse me, to our agenda. showing Connor how we can sometimes do business around here, unfortunately. Of course, you get a notice from a vendor when we did some budgeting early 25 for our 26 projects. They gave us some numbers to replace a emergency warning sign. We budgeted about $30,000 for that replacement in 26 here. And then, of course, January, what was it, Tuesday, I get an email from one of the vendors saying, hey, if you order now, before the end of January, we get a discount. So we try and rally some numbers together from the vendors we worked with in the past. Looking at the numbers, DSC, which used to be Grand Electronics, they just renamed themselves, came in with a quote of $22,000 some change. You have the rest in your packet. The other vendor was ASC. They had just listed out the siren itself at $16,000 some change. I went back to an earlier email and it was roughly $12,000 some extra, right around $13,000 for their installation stuff. So they're looking at $29,000, a little bit extra for their quote for the siren. I'm interested in going with DSC. We've worked with them in the past as well as they do have more comparable or more favorable bid for the project, and we would order supplies and work with our electric utility to make the installation sometime in the spring or over ground tops.
Is that for all the sirens?
That's for one.
Just for one?
We did get a quote from ASC did provide a quote for all of them. It was about $140,000. We currently have 4 sirens. The siren that we are looking at right now will provide better coverage than what we currently have, and the goal is to update every 4 to 6 years. Manufacturers saying life expectancy is 25 years. We don't have a single siren that's even listed as far as when it was installed. And based on manufacturer's date, 1987 is probably the year when the last one would have been in production and still been installed in our area. So I would guess that we're pushing 30 plus, 35 plus years. So to get our system that we currently have up to par, we're going to look to replace that siren every 4 to 6 years until we have the 4 in place, taken care of, and then I'll actually provide more coverage than we currently have, expanding beyond what we've already had for city growth, and potentially even, depending on land acquisitions, would get us a pretty good distance if there was any more improvement to the city. Granted, I won't be here for sirens 3 and 4, but we'll hope that it all goes through.
You don't see an advantage because you're gonna be replacing the one over by CCC, correct?
That's our oldest one that we can tell. That one's, we're guessing probably from the early 60s.
Yeah. So the only question I had is, remember we had, people come in here, does it pay to maybe take the old one and just, cause it's a smaller siren, put it on the east side of town next to our substation? Do you think there would be any benefit to doing that since it is a shot?
It would be something to explore. I mean, we're not just gonna throw it away, or I think they offered a $500 trade-in on it, so I guess that's maybe scrap price or just to dispose of it or whatever the story is, but it's an option. I don't know what cost would be to, or how the project would go. Obviously, electric has to get there, and what conduit needs to go in for any signaling of it or anything like that. It's something I can check with DSC on, or even see what our electric department understands or believes could be happening.
Yeah. Because that's where there was a concern, was on the east side of town and the Kramer addition, sort of by Genio. Just, it just might be an idea. It's there. We have the pole yard right there. It just might be an option. At least look at it if it's not junk.
And that was a discussion that Colleen and I had too, as far as maybe the one that's by Ilias, which is the closest one to that area, putting this new siren there. My only concern is that the dinosaur we do have, when does it go to fossil state? So getting rid of the old one first is at least my priority anyway.
Correct.
But yeah, it's good, something to explore. I can see what kind of options we can do with that and what it takes to get something in place.
Yeah, would the council concur with that idea,
can
at least
explore
just
it.
explore it?
And it might very well be something that we hold on to, and maybe it's a next year project because of expenses, but at least we'll have a general idea of numbers.
Correct.
Did you say the cost to install the new one from ASC was somewhere around $19,000?
ASC was a $16,000 unit, and then about $13,000 worth of installation, so $29,000.
And then the infrastructure is already there to mount it, right? So if you take this new one, you're gonna have to put it on some type of building or infrastructure, so it's gonna be relatively expensive to mount a very, very 1960s. I guess, I don't know if it's, do you wanna put all that money into an old, super old system? You're gonna, I don't know if it's worth it at that point.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just asking the question, because we had, people did come into here wanting, because when we had the one storm, they cannot hear any sirens on the east side of town. What was said to us.
Yeah, and their biggest concern is because they have industry over there that muffles a lot of noise. Yeah, you're right, Mark, a new pole need to be purchased, it was about $3,000 to $4,000, and then whatever utility work that our electric crew could do and those sorts of things, and I don't know what we'd be able to do as far as the signaling of it, to turn on and off, what that entails, but it's worth looking into. It might be a good Band-Aid for 15, 20 years.
And if I may add, one of the things, we did not replace the siren when the school did their parking lot, but what we did do is we increased the pole size. So we went from, I believe, a 30 to a 40-foot pole, and just getting it up that much higher, I think makes a difference. So if we can do a longer pole in that by CCC, that's what we do.
Yeah, and those are ideas that I think I'll let you you understand it too, so.
Which makes difference because you're not having buildings muffle when they're shorter.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
I'd just like to make one comment. The reason for the sirens are to notify people outside the area, outside versus being inside the house. That is the reason for tornado sirens, is to notify people outside to seek shelter. So they're kind of doing what they're supposed to do. We can't get inside the house.
correct. Nope, yeah, and that's true too.
That's good.
All right, can I
Just
get
have a tree fall by your window, you'll know.
can I get a motion for, DSC communications?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. MOU for Minnesota paid family leave.
So at your regular December 18th meeting, at the council meeting, there was a discussion that took place regarding Minnesota paid family leave. We have 3 unions that we have to enter into an MOU with regarding Minnesota paid family leave. And so I just brought it back to the council in December just to get your thoughts. And a couple of the questions that you asked were, if someone is out on Minnesota paid family leave, do they still receive their health insurance? And yes, statutorily, that's written in the law, they will receive their health insurance. While out on Minnesota paid family leave, does an employee still accrue vacation and sick? They do not. So that was, I believe those were the main questions that you guys had. The MOU that was in your packet basically outlines what we would be doing. The employees would pay 50% and the employer would pick up the other 50%. So it's a 50-50%. We're actually gonna be paying a little bit more than 50% because we went with the outside vendor to manage the program for us. The one thing in your packet was calendar years 26, 27, and 28. That actually has to be modified because we are gonna tie it to when our labor union contracts are up. And so it would really just be for calendar years 26 and 27. When we negotiate a new union contract, that would be the time we negotiate a new MOU. The other thing that we had in there is that employees can use their other accrued paid leave through their earned sick and safe time to supplement any family or medical leave benefits they are receiving. At no time shall that supplement or leave benefit exceed what their regular wage is. Employer reserves the right to determine the order in which certain paid leave is used to supplement family or medical leave benefits. In other words, how it typically works is it goes, you're sick first. You use sick first, then you go to vacation, then you go to a personal day. That is something that I think will be a discussion point with the unions. I don't know where they're gonna be with that, but in order for us to bring that back as a negotiation point, I just need the council this evening to concur with that language or to make a motion to concur with the language that was in the MOU and allow staff to go back and negotiate with the unions on the MOU.
You answered my question that I had last month. It was everybody else's questions answered? All right, can I get a motion to concur with the language?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. And then, we are on to do business planning and zoning commission review of budget and planning.
This is statutorily required. A planning and zoning commission must review non-equipment related purchases in the capital improvement projects proposed in our budget each year. They did that at their December 22nd meeting. Following their review, the commission found that the city's non-equipment related capital improvement projects, including land acquisition and disposition plans which are being discussed, are in compliance with the comprehensive plan. If the city council moves forward with plans that are not in the current budget, they will be reviewed on an individual basis. No council action is required. I'm just reporting that we did what we're supposed to by statute.
Yep. If you want to stay up there for the next one, I know I visited a little bit with Commissioner Steve Notch, and Stearns County Commissioners want to do actually a meeting here. It's going to be April 7th, 2026 at 6. Did you want to add anything to that from?
Yeah, no, they just implemented a new policy where they like to have one meeting a year outside of outside of St. Cloud, because currently their meetings are like at 9 o'clock in the morning during the week, and it's really not very accessible to Stearns County residents. So it seems to be whoever is the chair gets to pick where they're going. And since Steve Notch was appointed chair, and he is our guy in this area, he asked the mayor whether or not we would be willing to host the Stearns County Commissioners. So their April meeting on Tuesday, April 7th at 6 p.m. will be here in our council chambers. And it's really an opportunity for residents, especially out in western Stearns County, who don't have a lot of access to the Stearns County Commissioners, to see them.
Yeah, and I would just like to see if anybody would just consider spreading the word. I think it would be good for us to show face, because a lot of times in Stearns County, it seems like if it's west of like Albany, we don't get the attention as easy as the rest of the county does. So if the citizens would consider coming, let the whole commission board see that we do care about our county, we care about us, so it'd be a good thing.
Will they have a graphic so that we can share it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other information item was Thursday, February 19th. That is the night when the German students will be here. So we would have a meeting at 5 p.m. But then we have the township meeting at 6 p.m. and we're all good.
No, we're not.
That's going to be at 7:30, but so we're going to have a 6 o'clock council meeting at the fire station, and then the township meeting is at 7:30.
So,
Are you and I going to be able to be?
and Travis.
Okay.
Us two
And I
will
might be a
out.
long week.
Yeah, because that's sort of, we'll need to know right away, because, yeah, this is a lot for them to,
Reorganize 3 meetings. Yeah.
so can, we find out, and we gotta probably let, because the German students, their calendar is planned, so they might not even be able to make it, or we just do an informal meeting.
Can they do it the last week?
Their calendar looked full. When I seen it, it's
Okay.
full.
Cause I didn't know, cause I know that sometimes they can adjust it
Yeah, 'cause I
on
know
that
like
last week.
the Thursdays and stuff, I guess, have
Their last
Stacy.
week is full because they leave a day earlier than planned is part of the challenge
Was
too.
it?
Mhm.
They were supposed to be here through that Sunday, but their flights got changed.
Okay.
The Thursday before, on the 12th, is that an option?
They, I'm not sure, I don't have their
We
calendar.
could have a separate meeting just for them. Just to get
Maybe
the-
that might be, but what are we gonna do for the township meeting?
Right.
So,
So you guys could attend the township meeting. We just have to move the regular city council meeting, so we have a quorum there. Because the township
actually-
meeting is the fire department's meeting, I don't think we're taking.
but that is the budget, right? We have to have a quorum, right,
Quorum.
Tom?
Oh, we do have to have a quorum, yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that is, so if we can find out,
I'm here, I'll be back the last week in February. And you'll be back too, right, Travis?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so the last
The
week
one
in February.
before
we'll be
and the
able
one after, I'm around, just not the 19th.
okay.
Tom's here, I guess we need to ask him.
So if everybody can, get staff to figure it out by tomorrow.
With
And let us
last
know,
week in
and if you
February
gotta
work?
talk about Long Lake. you
I'm about
just-
95% sure I'm going.
Correct.
So,
So I try to figure it out and
So I
talk
guess
to
Tom-
Stacy about,
Tom is here, you have to ask him what he wants to do.
I'll talk to the townships, see if we can push it to the March one. I'll find out.
yeah.
But I
it's everybody that's gotta do it, so. So let's all get our heads going on this and.
And then just email Connor and myself, please.
So, all right. So that was the informational items. That should be it. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.